Hey all, Peyton Marine here with another matter of fact. Today is Tyranids. This is version 1.0, so the first iteration of this, and this is the longest one yet that they have out. It is just at 3 pages, so it's two full pages, and then we got a couple questions that bleed onto the third page. So yeah, let's really dive into this. Looks like the first page is all errata. And then the next page with a little bit on the third page is all FAQs. Lots of questions, a lot of things going on here. So, starting off, we have Biovores on page 101. Biovore Spore Mine Launcher. Change the first sentence of the second paragraph to read, each time a Spore Mine Launcher misses its target, set up a single high fleet Spore Mine model anywhere within 6 inches of the target unit and more than 3 inches away from an enemy model. If the spore mine cannot be placed, it is destroyed. Page 109, Harpy Spore Mine Sys. Change the first sentence of the second paragraph to read, each time a spore mine misses its target, set up a single high fleet. Alright, it's the same thing. So, those two are the same. Alright, page 110, Sporosys Spawn Spore Mines. Change the second sentence to read, if it does so, add a new unit of 3 high fleet spore mines or 1 high fleet muculoid spore to your army and set it up on the battlefield so that it is wholly within 6 inches of the spore cyst and more than 1 inch from the enemy. Any models that cannot be placed are destroyed. A lot of spore erratas so far. Another page 110, spore cyst, spore node. Change the first sentence of the second paragraph to read, each time a spore node attack misses its target, add a new unit of 3. So this is again the same. 3 spore mines or 1 muculoid spore to your army and set it up in the battlefield so it's within 6 inches of a target unit and more than 3 from an enemy model. Any models that cannot be placed are destroyed. Page 116, change the first sentence to read, in this section you'll find the rules for Battleforce armies to include Tyranid detachments. Alright. Add the following section before abilities, Tyranid units. In the rules described in this section, we often refer to Tyranid units. This is shorthand for any Tyranid units that also have the high fleet keyword. A Tyranid's detachment is therefore one which only includes units with both the Tyranids and high fleet keywords. Note that although Genestealer cults are devoted to the hive mind and are willingly fight alongside their Xenos masters, they deviate significantly in terms of organization and tactics, not to mention physiology. Genestealer cult units therefore cannot make use of any of the rules listed in this section. This includes detachments, abilities, stratagems, bio-artifacts, psychic powers, warlord traits, and tactical objectives described in this section, and instead have their own rules. Alright. Oh, page 117, Jormungandr Tunnel Networks. Change this second sentence to read, if a unit advances or declares a charge, however, if it loses the benefit of this adaptation until the start of your next movement phase. Alright, page 119 and 120, Spore Field, the Call of the Brood. Add the following sentence. This unit must belong to the same high fleet as another unit from your army. Page 119. Pheromone Trail. Add the following sentence. Your unit cannot use this stratagem to affect a unit of reinforcements being set up by the Genestealer's infestation ability, or that are added to your army due to a unit's ability. Alright, so you can't use that stratagem, Pheromone Trail, on any reinforcements being set up by Genestealer's infestation ability, or that are added to army due to that ability. And page 120, Hypertoxicity. Change the first sentence to read, use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Alright, so hypertoxicity has to be done at the start of the fight phase. Pretty quick, went through those kind of a rapid fire pace so we can get into these FAQs. So, question, when a unit is set up in a locale other than the battlefield, can they change that locale other than to be set up on the battlefield? For example, if a unit is set up within the tunnels as part of the enemy below, Must they be set up on the battlefield following that stratagem, or can they be set up in another function? Answer: they cannot change their locale. In the example, they can only be set up on the battlefield following the conditions of the enemy below. So you can't put them in the enemy below and then, I don't know, I guess try to use this other yeah. Alrighty. Question: when a unit is chosen to make a charge move and fails the charge, do they still count as having charged? Specifically, can a unit that has failed a charge move be chosen to pile in and potentially consolidate towards the enemy? A unit only counts as having charged if they made a charge move. If a charge fails and no models make a charge move, they do not count as having charged. As such, they cannot be chosen to fight in the fight phase and cannot pile in or consolidate unless an enemy unit moves within 1 inch of them. I'm not even sure how that question is coming up. It's almost that I don't know. I don't like that. Blah, 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 blah. The way that is coming off to me is you have a unit that can potentially charge 2 different units. It charges one, fails the charge, but according to this, it's not. Do they still have count as it being charged? And they're saying no. So does that mean that I can then charge that unit? You know what? I'm going to charge that unit then too, since this one failed, but I don't count as having charged. I'm going to charge that unit. Okay, like I don't know. I'm sure that's not. Maybe I'm reading weirdly into that, but that's kind of what it sounds like they're saying is okay. I don't know. Okay then. Can a unit ever advance twice in a single phase? The answer is no. Question: if a unit has advanced in a phase and is given the opportunity to move again in the same phase, what is their move characteristic? Their move characteristic of the second move would still be the value as modified from the advance. For example, if a unit with a move characteristic of 5 advances in a movement phase and the result of the dice rolled for the advance is 4, its move characteristic would be modified for that phase to 9. As such, it would give the opportunity to move again in that phase. Its move characteristic would be still 9. Alright. Question: if a new unit is added to an army, for example, as a result of the Spore Field or Call of Blood stratagems, is it part of the detachment? No. Okay. Can a Broodlord use Genestealer's Infestation ability to be set up during the battle near an infestation node? No. Alright. If you use a Maleceptor Psychic Overlord ability, can that Maleceptor attempt to manifest any psychic powers in that second phase? No. If a model that has more than one pair of Scything Monstrous, Scything Massive, Scything Talons, does it make an additional attack with one of those pairs, or one additional attack with each of those pairs? Answer: one additional attack with one of those pairs. Alright. If a model has more than one pair of Bone Swords, does it make one additional attack with one of those pairs, or one additional attack with each of those pairs? The answer is one additional attack with one of those pairs. The question: does High Feet Jormungandr units gain the cover bonus twice if they are in ruins? No is the answer. Question: does the Psychic Barrage stratagem prevent all 3 units of Zoanthropes from attempting to manifest psychic powers that turn? Yes. Question: if I use the Metabolic Overdrive stratagem on a unit in the movement phase and then Onslaught on the same unit in the psychic phase, can that unit charge? Answer is no. Question: do you pay reinforcement points in a match play for Spore Mines brought into the game using the Spore Field stratagem? Answer is yes. If my opponent has units that are set up after both armies have deployed, when do I use the Spore Field stratagem? Before or after the units are set up? If before, how do I determine who would place their units first? Answer: you use the stratagem before any such units are set up. If both players have units with abilities that allow them to be set up after both armies have deployed, the player should roll off and the winner decides who sets up first. Question: When using the pheromone trail stratagem, can you bring the lictor onto the battlefield in the same turn as a unit that it acts as a homing beacon for? Answer yes. Simply bring the lictor onto the battlefield before the other unit. Alright. Question. Do you pay reinforcement points in match play for units for units brought back into the game using the Endless Storm stratagem? Yes, you do. Alright, question. Can the opportunistic advanced stratagem be used when a unit is affected by the Swarm Lord's Hive Commander ability, the Overrun stratagem, or Mind Eater Warlord trait? Alright. So the question again, can the opportunistic advanced stratagem be used when a unit is affected by the Swarmlord Hive Commander ability, the Overrun stratagem, or the Mind Eater Warlord trait? Yes, in all cases. Please note the FAQ above regarding moving multiple times in a single phase. Alright, question. If a unit with adrenal glands is affected by opportunistic advanced stratagem, how is their movement for that phase calculated? Answer. Adrenal glands don't modify either the movement characteristic of a unit or the dice rolled for an advancing unit. As such, you would use opportunistic advance, roll the dice, double the result, add that to the movement characteristic, and then use the adrenal glands to add 1 to their distance the unit can move. Alright, question. Do the Scything Talons allow you to re-roll hit rolls of 1? No. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, not Scything Talons. Wow, I misread that. Do the Scythes of Tyran allow you to re-roll hit rolls of 1? No. And the last question. My Behemoth Hive Tyrant, armed with Toxin Sacs and the Reaper of Obliterax, has the monstrous Hunger Warlord trait. If I were to roll a 6 to wound in the fight phase, would the final damage be 3 for the Bone Sword Lash, plus 1 for Toxin Sacs, plus 1 for the Warlord trait, times 2 for the Reaper of Oberax ability, for a total of 10, or 3 for the Bone Sword Lash, times 2 for the Reaper of Oberax ability, plus 1 for Toxin Sacs, plus 1 for Warlord trait, for a total of 8. You multiply the weapon damage. Alright, so this is the answer. You multiply the weapon damage for the Reaper of Obelax ability and then add 2 for the combination of Monstrous Hunger and Toxin Sacs for a total of 8. So you're getting 8 damage out of all of that. That sounds like quite the hefty little guy. I want to say little, but for the Hive Tyrant to... 8's that's not too bad. I see where they're going, though, trying to get that 10, get those extra 2 damage, but it's only 8. So, interesting. So that is it for the Tyranids. Definitely a very long one indeed. But hopefully you find that all good info and take it into your next games. And we will see you all next time.